welcome back, YouTube. I'm going to discuss a few points today, and we're going to take a look here at the charts. Primarily, I wanted to address a lot of things that we've really been seeing pushed out as far as for the prices that's been relayed, even with like Bitcoin going to 35K. We've seen Dogecoin rally and really break out above this top level here, above its main liquidity pool, which is actually really great. This is technically where you expect Dogecoin to grab liquidity, and again, we've talked about this in the past. It always does in this area. Now the question is, will it hold above it? That's going to be determined. We'll have some candles that we'll kind of see if we close above it again. We did close above it yesterday on the daily. We'll see where today is. But typically, this is where we have these runs to like the higher eights to the 10-cent range. And this is kind of it really just kind of builds on it. So it's not indicative saying that we're going to have a breakout on the current cycle. But this is saying that Doge is doing what it's supposed to. It's not showing instability as far as historic areas of grabbing liquidity. So I wanted to address before I get into some more technical stuff on the chart, I wanted to address whether or not we're seeing the beginning of a bull run. And the most important thing is, outside of the micros in the market, which can cause these runs, these spikes, the interest all over again, we have to make sure that the micros and macros are kind of saying the same thing. The macros are going to play a bigger part in something like a bull run and the longevity of it, especially if you're talking about something that's going to increase in price for overall for like the next year or so in the cycle. The macros need to align and need to be suggesting that. The micros, such as like a Bitcoin ETF or people positioning themselves when the spike in Bitcoin happens, and that kind of sends out shockwaves and saying, oh, okay, this could be the floor for a lot of these coins. Let's go ahead and start taking positions. Now, that's very likely, and that's actually not a bad strategy as far as if I don't recommend trying to time the market, but if you are, when you start getting like these little hints and stuff like that, and you start looking at the year to date, like the last year, and kind of see like some settlements and say, okay, well, these assets are kind of flat right now. I'll take a position. I'm not saying that that's entirely wrong, but you have to just kind of keep that in mind, saying that, okay, this could not necessarily be the bull run, but you have a certain number of investors that are sitting on the sideline who want to invest, but they just are not sure if this is the bottom, because they're looking at the macros and saying, hey, have we technically bottomed? But if we get more bad news in the macros, can we potentially see some lower numbers? Sure. So you have people that are wanting to invest in your Bitcoin, Ethereum, or your Cardanos, your Doge, all that kind of good stuff, but they're waiting to see if they can get a better deal. And that cash is always out there. But when you see some of these spikes, like news of a Bitcoin ETF or Bitcoin having a rally and stuff like that, and it starts spiking up some of the it starts creating news, spiking up some of the prices and stuff like that, you'll see some of that cash come in out of fear, FOMO, fear of missing out. So that's kind of what I believe is happening right now, because the macros do not suggest that we are headed toward a bull market. We're actually looking at some historic things happening right now. Mortgage rates, 8%. It's going to cost $114,000. I've been posting a lot on Twitter. A lot of these, the facts and stuff that's coming out, $114,000 now to afford a typical home in America. The most mortgages and stuff like that are below 4%. But as far as for new people coming in, we're looking at 8%, even with like a 720 credit score. That's going to be an issue long term. It's now becoming cheaper to rent again versus own a home. And I don't necessarily say that's going to cause an issue right now. I'll make a separate video for real estate, but I'll go ahead and explain here. But I do believe that's going to slow down the development, a lot of these new communities and stuff that we see popping up. And that may cause a form of price stabilization, so that they're not pushing new homes out in the market, thus bringing down the value. But overall, that is not sustainable unless America is going to get a huge price increase for the working class. So for these homes, there's going to be some adjustments there on the macro level. Also, this month started student loan repayments. So That is not something that you're going to see the effects of immediately, but it's something that we're going to see, so get some data over probably the next quarter, and we're going to see what that does to disposable income. We know the answer, but we'll get the official documentation of that kind of stuff over the next few months. But that just means that we still have higher inflation. We have people that are not going to be able to get a home, and now we have discretionary income and stuff like that going down. So those are some of the few things that I'm looking at. That's kind of going to give me an idea of where we stand on the macro side, and not even getting into like the wars and all that kind of stuff like that. I'll make separate videos for that. But that, for me, the macros and the micro have to be kind of suggesting the same thing. If you're going to have a sustained price increase, or just kind of go into that next level. So for me, I'm not saying that we can't rise and have a consolidation at a higher level. That's certainly fine, and that's certainly even possible in a bear market, but we'll be still looking for those 20% increases overall to officially call a bull market. So, and you have to kind of keep in mind, like, if you're looking at technical terms, the market can rise 19% overall and still not be a bull market. So if you're looking at those technical terms, even if it's a bull market, the market can crash 19% and then recover. So there's room there for these large swings to kind of play themselves out, and not necessarily be like, oh, okay, this is it, and start FOMOing people in. So you guys know I'm not going to be pushing out fluff or hype and stuff like that. I like to look at the facts, and right now the facts aren't suggesting that. If that changes, obviously we'll have that conversation. But as of right now, that's not what it is saying. It's not like hinting toward that at all. But looking at the chart here, I want to put out a couple things here. Where we close at, especially today and tomorrow, will certainly be a great indicator as far as for how stable this increase is. What we've seen here is much like a golden cross between the 14 and the 72. So this could be a very strong hint as far as where we're going to stabilize next. What we need to look for as far as for if Dogecoin is going to rise above or have that higher consolidation, or if we're going to retest some of those previous levels, is this 200-day and this 14-day. Now, if these are starting to have some convergence toward each other, that is going to give us an indication saying, okay, we're looking at some stabilization where we are now, and we're probably going to retest higher. But as you guys can see, that's still quite a gap there. That's something we're going to have to watch over the next 4 or 5 days to kind of see if we're having that possibility of a meeting between these indicators. But overall, where we are now, this is, if we consolidate above this, this can act as a floor or a ceiling. That's typically how it works. So that's why I said it, where we close that over the next couple of days is going to be indicative of that. But overall, in this level historically, whether that be for price rallies, whether that be for catalysts, things with Twitter, all that kind of good stuff like that, Dogecoin typically recovers. This is where Dogecoin gains most of its liquidity in this zone here. As you know, we go down, the zone gets more narrower, but the explosion upward gets more violent as it goes down here, because it's just the liquidity as it goes down there. We typically start to see things like not settling here or have the sideways movement. But as we go to these lower levels, you start to see like flash crashes and stuff like that, and the quick rebound. So the area that we're at now is not a bad area. The reason that this area is vast, for those of you who may be just tuning in, is because this is where Dogecoin typically likes to consolidate. We've had numerous times where we'll run out and do some retests for different reasons and stuff like that. And then because obviously we're not, macros aren't aligning, we're not in a bull market, we're seeing the consolidation back down to this range. So again, that's completely normal. I expect that to kind of happen until we get, some, shorts aren't doing anything right now. So I didn't expect them to do anything significant. But until we get some alignment with macros and micros, I kind of expect that to happen. Let's check on market leader really quick. Yeah, and if you guys don't know, well, for those of you that are in my Discord, you know that I talked about 35K Bitcoin a couple weeks ago. So that was very, very great. We also had our SPY puts in place, so it's been a very good month as far as looking at like the technical analysis and how these assets are playing out. It's doing everything we thought they were. So it's been a very good month. Let's see here. It's looking like retest around 32, which is kind of what it looks like what we're doing now anyway. So yeah, so we're looking at, we may have, because we're in a tough zone right now, it looks like about the previous cycle. So it's looking like we may grab some liquidity slightly below where we are now. If not, we're looking at a drop of maybe somewhere between about a couple grand, maybe back down to like 30. But if we're able to grab interest as far as for with this ETF thing, or people just wanting to position themselves, we can see another run up to about 40K in Bitcoin. So, and I do believe, that sends shockwaves, rising tides raises all boats. So we can see that kind of trickle over into Ethereum, Cardano, Doge, all that kind of good stuff. So it's something to kind of keep in mind, but just remember that crypto is known for having these swings, and the macros for long-term stability, typically the macros need to align, but that does not mean that we can't creep up and consolidate at higher levels. So I know if you're listening, you may say, okay, is he saying that this is going to go up, or is it going to go down? Is this a bull run, or is it not? And I'm saying that you can have these increases in price without getting into like the technicals and saying that, okay, this is actually a bull run, because you can have these increases in price, but because those things in the macros aren't aligning, once those things become imbalanced, you can see those gains disappear immediately. So just don't get hyper focused on this is a bull run. So if I buy right now, this is going to go up. When if you're looking at the macro things, you know that the rug can be pulled at any moment. So that's kind of what I'm saying when I say that. It's not necessarily a bull run. It's not hinting at it, but we can see this creep up in prices. It's just to kind of put everything into perspective so that you can kind of have a kind of an educated guess, or at least have an idea of what to expect if you're going to be in the market at this time, because we have that divergence, between macro and micros. So that is my update. I'm going to be releasing several more videos over the course of like the next few days. We're going to cover different aspects, and I'm going to be adding some things to the channel I've been working on for the last couple of months. I'm really excited to unveil these things to you guys. So just kind of stay tuned for that. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel for more, and I will see you guys in the next video.